Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. This is my Advent calendar, day 9. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Sadhana. And each morning I'm offering a reading, a reflection for the day, or something to take into your evening, as well as some tarot tips and things to do with the tarot besides do a reading. And I think that this has been quite a different year than the previous years. I've done this a few times, and I am sensing that my own journey with the tarot is really being reflected here. So you're seeing something um, more of the mandala of tarot than in previous years, and this is it's quite a process for me as well. So welcome to all of you. And I have to tell you what I did yesterday. Hello, Clevis. Namaste. I emptied my tarot cabinet. I took out all of the mass market decks and I put them into bins and boxes and sorted them. And that gave me space in my cabinet to move all of my historical decks in Tarot de Marseille to one side and all of my indie decks to another side. And I am in the process of preparing videos, three of them, three rather lengthy videos of my entire collection. And part of this is, I'm not saying that that's a tarot tip, that you need to do videos of your entire tarot collection, but the process of taking everything off the shelf and having a really good look at what you have bought, what has been collecting dust, is really important. To go back to the reason why you started this in the first place. And I know with TarotTube there is a tendency to begin to want to amass decks. The idea of FOMO is huge, and I just think this is a really, really important. I think 2018 was my most ridiculous buying year, and since then, every year, less and less. And I really don't buy, it takes a lot for somebody to convince me to buy a tarot deck these days. So I have recorded part of the mass market library series, and I will hopefully finish that this week and begin to share this with you. Today I have pulled out a deck that I've never used. I think I've used it once for looking at a particular card and maybe for a similar exercise and questioning, why did I buy this deck in the first place? Well, there was something about it that really intrigued me. And there is a tarot reflective series on Mindful Tarot's Facebook page. And I did this one year, and in this challenge, you write a reflection about, you do 78 reflections, and you have two different decks, and you allow the decks to speak to each other. And one of the other participants was using this deck, the Mystical Dream Tarot. And I have always loved their reflections. I think they are very insightful. And I just thought there was something in this deck, so that's why I purchased it, but I've never used it. And so I decided to pull it out today. So just know that this exercise is really, it can be overwhelming, and yet at the same time, I think it's important to reflect upon why you are purchasing decks and what are the criteria for you to purchase a deck. So So that's part of the tip or recommendation for today. One of the things that you can do with the tarot, rather than formulating a question, is to look at the energy and study the energy of a particular Sephira. Not so much in doing a reading for yourself, but in learning something about the Sephira. And eventually, if you study tarot long enough, you're going to get curious about the tree of life and its connection to the Golden Dawn and its connection to other aspects of tarot. And if you are interested in the chakras at all, you will have seen lots of correspondences and writings about connections between these two mystical symbols, the tree of life and the chakras. And I'm sure you have even seen this compared to symbology in the Bible, Jacob's ladder representing the spine and so forth. On this ladder, on this central pathway, we have some very important tarot cards. And studying this central pathway and getting curious about how it feels for you, rather than trying to figure it out in a reading, I think can be really helpful. And I've talked about the knights before. And the knights are on the central pillar. The pages are too. They're down at the bottom in Malkut, which really is sort of dangling down below. The knights are in the center of the tree of life. The Sephira is associated with the planet of the sun. And it is on the pathway between the sun and Keter, the crown. And this is the pathway that initiates the energy of the high priestess in one direction. And it is also connected to the Sagittarius path that goes down the tree of life. And so because we are still in the second decan of Sagittarius, I feel that this is all very relevant just as an exploration of further understanding where we are and how this might be reflected for us personally. And so in this deck, the knights are not knights, not surprisingly. So this deck is a dream deck. And I think maybe tomorrow I will pull out the Philarkos Tarot and show you how I might put up, compare dreams that have the same, decks that have the same intention, sort of not against each other, but how they hold up. I was just thinking about that as I sat down here today, because both of these decks are based in dreams and dreams of the creator of the deck. And so I am going to shuffle and cut the cards and look for the Knight of Wands, which is called the Spirit of Wands. And my inquiry here is to help us better understand the role of the knights on this central path. And of course, the central path leads in every direction. How we might embrace the energy of the Knight of Wands and hold that light. Because now we are journeying into darker and darker days as we move towards solstice, as we move towards Yule. And I've always had this feeling that the light of Sagittarius, the light of the fire of Sagittarius, the association of temperance with Sagittarius, is something really important to capture, before we head into Capricorn. And Capricorn, though it is cardinal in nature, in modality, it is quite a heavy energy, and the tarot cards associated with it, particularly the major arcana, which is the devil, is so misunderstood. And so I think taking time to reflect on the light before we head into the darkness is really important for all of us as students of tarot. The knights in this deck are called the spirit of the suit. And I think that it would be unusual for the Knight of Wands not to be in the pile of fire. This energy needs that energy of fire to keep going. However, in its highest frequency, I would love to see the Knight of Wands here illuminating the darkness. So this would be where I would assume the card would be, and this would make me really happy. So I'm just going to have a glimpse here and see if that is there. There's all kinds of name changes in this deck, and I'll be sure to read those carefully for the cards that appear near the spirit of fire. Also remembering to continue to build on your reflection of tens and all kinds of fives here, but no fire, no Knight of Fire. Also remembering to continue to reflect on the energy of 10 and be mindful of that the moon is continuing to wane as we move towards the final new moon of 2025. So the Spirit of Wands is in the suit of fire. Okay. So in the, not at the suit of fire, the pile of fire. I guess that was a little optimistic of me. I'm going to get another candle going here. And I will zoom in so you can see this better. So what does it mean that and this is so awesome that the priestess is here, because the priestess on the bottom of this pile is on the tree of life. She is the path that, like I said, that goes from the sun to Keter, to the crown. So she is sort of supporting and guiding all of these cards that are below here. This is not a huge pile of cards. It is, when there is a small pile, I feel like the journey through this pile is quite navigable. It is something that perhaps we should focus on because it is quite attainable and not overwhelming with so many things to ponder and tasks to do. So this is quite lovely. The Nine of Wands is also here. So the Nine of Wands is the decan that we are still in until, let me just see how many days we have to go here, approximately. So around the 13th of December, we head into the final decan of Sag. So our decan card is here. And I noticed that judgment was here. And judgment, we talked about the tens a few days ago, and it is a powerful card of change. It is a double XX. It is also associated with primordial fire. And I think that if you think about primordial fire and the reason for fire and the beginning of fire and the basic energy of fire, this is such a wonderful card to be here. The Lovers is here. Lord of Cups, so that is King of Cups. Spirit of Wands, Six of Pentacles. Mott, which is 8, Justice. Lady of Pentacles, so she is the next court card that will come at the 13th-ish of December, taking us into Capricorn. And 13 is the Wise Fox. 9 of Swords, which is a card I really like in this deck. Ace of Cups, Spirit of Pentacles, 10 of Swords, 6 of Wands, and Lady of Wands. So I'm not going to read with all these cards, of course. One of the things I didn't mention the other day was in the reading where we had all of those kings show up. I think it was kings. The other king was there as well too. So all the kings were present. It's like we had the 4 corners of the mastery of the elements with us. It was such a it was so lovely when I sat with the cards after I signed off. Okay, so let's start. Let's keep this simple at first here, and then we can expand if necessary. So the exercise is to reflect on the heart. And what is it that this night has to teach us about the heart? Now, what is the heart chakra? And that's another question. You can think about the anatomical heart, most certainly. Think also, too, about the lungs that surround the heart space. I loved that the Lovers was in this pile as well, too, because the heart chakra, the mandala for it is the hexagram. So the union of the upward and downward facing triangles. And the union of the upward and downward facing triangles is a place of harmony and peace, where we find contentment with our divine masculine and our divine feminine. In the heart space, love is quite a different thing than the passion of love in the Swadhisthana and the sacral chakra. So in the heart space, we are, I always think of Dalai Lama's writings. I think of all that he wrote about compassion. I think about people that have done great service in this world and unconditionally shared love with people of all walks of life. So in the heart space, which is the element of air, the Knight of Wands stands here, and this is our significator. I know we didn't draw this. We're just reflecting on this, right? The Spirit of Wands shines a light on this, on one of the, I suppose, if there are 4 knights, how would you place them in the hexagram? But this is also has an initiatory quality to it. Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles, Yad-He, Vav-He. This is, I can actually feel this in my heart chakra. It's like a tug. It's a tug. It is a reminder of the attention, the mindfulness to practices of compassion, to harmonizing and balancing the heart space. And remember that this topic card selected today is the primary court card for Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is temperance, which is the lesson of alchemy. It is the lesson of finding harmony and balance in one's life. So the cards that are closest to this, that this night wants us to understand, are the magic and energy of the Lord of Cups. So this is a King of Cups who has energy radiating from palm to palm in a circle overhead. It looks like they have illuminated the ground with their fire. They may even be floating above the ground. The kings, so here's another interesting thing, that the king is here, that a king is here. It may be a harmonizing king, so we have a knight of fire and a king of water. There is a straight line, the path of the emperor, that connects. Good morning to Angela and Mary Beth. No need to apologize. That connects the kings and the knights, and they are in direct relation with one another through the path of the emperor. So this masculine energy continues to be very important here in our process of, let's say, how can I word this? Being the best version of the selves that we can be through the challenges of this season. And part of my reason for doing the Advent calendar and these readings is to help myself and each of you reflect more deeply on all that is around us at this busy, busy time of year that is often quite dark. I'm looking out my front window here and it is dark, dark. Lord of Cups. So, Lord of Cups, and I like that this fire energy is radiating on this card. The Spirit of Wands is a feminine figure, and there is, what is this dream? I don't know if it's crystals. There is energy also radiating up and around the Spirit of Wands, which is a feminine figure. The Lord of Cups has a lot of fiery energy radiating around them. And this is the Suit of Cups, right? So this is also Scorpio, as I mentioned. And Scorpio is ruled by Mars. And when I think of the Spirit of Wands, or the Knight of Wands, I feel that this night is I'm sure you've heard me use the word spiritual gangster before. This is the night that is most keen, and maybe there's a little bit of naivety, but there is tremendous energy here in the tenacity of seeking an answer. And these two facing each other feels very, very dynamic to me. And so we're facing back to Scorpio. And with the king of, let's call him what he is, Lord of Fire, floating above with all of this energy radiating, it's like he's burning off that which has been discovered in Scorpio. Spirit of Wands looks gently back. I'd like you to think about what was going on a few weeks ago. What was going on around Samhain? What was going on when you were deep in it? And the Spirit of Wands feels as if it wants to help clear with the energy of the Lord of Cups to get that clearing done. That clearing feels really, really important. So what does this have to do with our study of the heart space and the knights being in the heart space? Well, we want the we want the, yes, it does, Angela, it looks very similar to temperance. We want the heart space to be as clear as possible. And as I say that, I'm nursing a cold and I'm trying to clear my lungs and my nose. And I'm reminded of how the lungs surround the heart space and how important breath is, and how potent and fiery breath is. And this is something that the last few days I've not been doing. But I'm thinking here that this could very well be a way to help with the clearance of that issue. Pranayama, breath exercises, are to be taken seriously, not to be messed with. They can have huge transformational properties, and so we need to be careful with that. The Knight, the Spirit of Wands, wants the heart space to be clear and doesn't want us carrying anything forward. There's a tremendous sense of contentment in the Six of Pentacles that sits on the other side of this card. 6 is a number that is associated with the heart chakra. Pentacles, the element of earth, is associated with the upcoming season of Capricorn, and the 6 of Pentacles is actually a Taurus card, decanically speaking. But there is certainly a connection of looking forward. And you know me, I'm not one to read. This is not 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. This is a complete story, a complete picture. And the contentment, the utter contentment in the 6 of Pentacles feels really important here. It feels like a promise of non-doing, a promise of non-doing. And in order to attain that state in the heart, we need to focus on what these 2 court cards are processing. Clearing the lungs, clearing the heart space. A lot of time we look at this so third dimensionally. We look at it through attachment, ongoing issues with family members and so forth, and know that that is the energy of lower chakras. It is not the energy of the heart space. The heart space wants the gift of space. It wants the gift of clearance, clearing, compassion and gratitude. It wants the highest frequency of love for us. And the King of Cups is working very hard there to remind us how important burning off that energy is. And I like that idea of going back a couple of weeks, looking in the journal, looking at the calendar, and reminding ourselves that there's something yet to be said, be shared. And if you don't want to do it that way, then working with breath can be really powerful as a daily practice. And if you've never done anything like that, there is a breathing series on my channel. That might be something that you want to do in the mornings after I sign off, or you want to do in the evenings before you go to bed. Just being mindful it's not right before bed, because some of those times those practices can be quite stimulating. So what can you do with the tarot besides do a reading? And I guess in a way this is a reading, but it's more of a help me to understand a larger concept. And also in this process yesterday of clearing out my tarot cabinet, I am reminded that because I don't buy decks haphazardly, there usually is a good reason for purchasing a deck, even though I haven't used it. And so I'm quite happy with the way this has come through today, and quite encouraged. And I'm looking forward to completing this process of sharing all of that. The dress and the gemstones have the same color. I can't get my eyes off it. It seems so important to me. And I know the image is quite dark, but one thing you can do is take a screenshot of the cards and come back to them a little bit later. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for spending time with me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.